Author's notes. Hey guys, this is written as an ELA assignment, so I had to tone down the gore and curse words. So this is a different writing style than usual. Not really that different, to be honest. Hope you enjoy nonetheless. Update, I got an A. Also, Owen got condemned to hell, but hey, at least I passed. The cold autumn breeze shivered through my body. I didn't really think about how cold it was as I stared at Scott. His face looked neutral, but I could tell he was pissed. The only reason I wasn't scared was because I knew he wouldn't kill me, and before I was a vampire, I was already living a fate worse than death, so there wasn't really anything he could do to me that was worse than what had already happened. Owen, you have officially lost it. I have let you get away with far too much, and now you've nearly disbanded this entire coven. He kept his teeth gritted and his tone neutral, which sent a small shiver through my spine, just like the wind that now grew slightly stronger. They don't trust you anymore. Now they have it in their brains that if nothing stopped you from killing Avid, then there's nothing that could stop you from killing them. I stayed staring at him. I was slightly taller than him, but that didn't matter by how much power he projected through his voice. I had a reason for killing Avid. It's just that none of them seemed to understand. I killed Avid because of what he did to us. I killed him because what you are as a human stays with you when you become a vampire. He was a liability. He wasn't your liability, Owen, Scott yelled, breaking his composure. I could hear all the emotion he felt for Avid that he had been trying to hide for the past 2 weeks. He pulled up his hand to pinch the bridge of his nose and sighed. Listen, his voice went back to his usual disappointed tone. Like I've said today, I let you get away with too much because I pitied you. Now I see I should have put you in your place a long time ago. He looked up at me with a look of anger that I'd never expect to see from someone so good at keeping his composure. What are you gonna do? He grabbed me by my shirt collar and slammed my back against a tree. I let out a loud groan of pain. You are not allowed near the castle until I clean up this goddamned mess. Do you understand me? He said in a low growl. Fine, I said. He let me go and I dropped to the ground with a grunt. There's only one person left who would even consider not just letting you rot in the forest and might even give you a place to rest for a bit. He had a sly smile on his face as he turned around to face the direction of the castle. I'm not asking that sad excuse of a doctor for anything, I said in a low tone. Scott let out a laugh. You trying to say you don't care for him is like Shelby trying to hide that fanfic she writes. Nothing but a futile effort to hide something that everyone knows. He turned into a bat and flew off towards the castle. I walked up to the front door of the mayor's house, and just as I reached a few steps before it, the door opened. The mayor had a warm expression on his face, and was the only person I'd seen in a while who seemed happy to see me. Come in, Owen, he said cheerfully, running off to the living room. I walked slowly into the house and saw a large living room/kitchen. The thing that surprised me was that it looked like most of the houses in town, but just slightly bigger. I settled on the nice brown couch that sat in front of a grand fireplace. The mayor sat in an armchair that was across from the couch. Sorry about sitting on your couch, I said apologetically, about to stand up. I figured he had only let me into his house just as a formality. He definitely didn't want me sitting on his furniture. No, please stay sitting. I wouldn't want you to have to be uncomfortable. This meeting might take a while, and you look like you're about to fall down. I was surprised by his act of kindness, although it was probably also just a formality. I sat back down on the couch. He cleared his throat. Anyways, you called this meeting to discuss a new lumber mill, correct? I nodded. Yes, if we build a new lumber mill, then we won't have to share the one in the next town over, and we will be able to build the wall by late winter when the snow shows up, I said, trying to act confident. The slight smile stayed on his face as he seemed to think for a moment. Yes, I think we can manage that. And since you bring in the most wood from the forest, I would like you to help manage the project. I could tell that my face showed surprise because the mayor let out a laugh. You look so stupid when you're surprised, he laughed. Sorry, I said, slightly embarrassed. He let out another giggle and walked over to me. You're all good. It's just that I must say, he held his hand out to help me up. You're the most interesting person I've talked to in a long while. I took his hand, just waiting for him to pull back after he felt the boils from my bandages. He didn't. I stood up and let his hand go. Please do come see me tomorrow so that we can discuss this issue more, he said sweetly as I walked to the door. I will. I stood by where the woods used to be before Abolish had burned them down. Now I had a clear view of Oakhurst, but that also meant they could see me from a mile away. I was so lost in thought that I didn't hear the person walking up behind me. Why did you kill him? That was the most shaken I had ever heard the doctor's voice, but I recognized it immediately. I turned to see him trying to stand tall and not look scared, but I could see right through his act. I sighed. Listen, Legs, I'll be honest with you. I just didn't like him, so I killed him. It was quite easy, actually, I said, annoyed at him asking a question with such an obvious answer. Lagundo had been on my last nerve with all the stupid questions before now. At this point, I wondered how he'd even managed to get his certificate to become a doctor. You killed someone just because you didn't like him? He sounded confused. At this point, I was getting mad at how annoying he was being. Yes, Legs, I killed someone because I didn't like them. I was almost yelling. He jumped back in surprise. What do you think I am? Brutus or something? Only killing people to save the one thing I vowed to stay loyal to? You all seem to forget that I killed 2,799 people. I can kill anyone I want. The wind picked up and nearly made me lose my composure to show that I was cold. Legs stayed looking at me. He seemed to be thinking. If that's true, will you kill me? He stayed in a low, neutral tone. He seemed like he truly didn't know the answer and was risking something by asking. In a heartbeat. The wind was really picking up now. It was blowing my hair around, like it was reminding me that I still cared for him. I couldn't let him know that, though. Well then, I guess I'd better be going, because clearly I can't help you anymore. You're not a monster, Owen, but you also aren't in a state where you can be saved. He said it in almost a whisper. He walked off towards the town. I had made a routine of visiting the mayor almost daily. I enjoyed his company, and he seemed to enjoy mine. I finally found someone who didn't yell at me to leave when seeing one of my scars, and dared to look me in the eyes. Every once in a while, he'd even help me change out of the bandages on my arms so that I didn't have to deal with it myself. He even let me call him by his first name, Louis. Today I sat in his house next to him on the couch, and my head was on his shoulder, and we were snuggled up with the fireplace lit because winter was slowly rolling in. Owen, Louis said like he was nervous. I looked up at him, but stayed in the same spot. What? He looked out at me with an unreadable expression. I have something important to tell you, and I don't want you to freak out. You can't tell me anything bad enough for me to freak out. I've lived in the woods long enough to be desensitized to what normal people would deem insane. He sighed. What if I could give you a chance to be cured of your illness and live with me forever? Of course I would take that offer in a heartbeat. He opened his mouth all the way to reveal a set of long, sharp fangs. I'm a vampire. I blinked in slight surprise. Of all the things I'd seen, I had to admit vampires were a new one. If I turned to you, you could be cured and live with me for all of eternity. Now, you don't have to. Louis, why on earth would I turn down that offer? I asked him. He let out a hearty laugh, then stared at me with a look of admiration. I love you, Owen. I love you too, Louis. I wandered around the woods for a bit. The wind had quieted down. This was part of the forest I hung around before Louis had made me a vampire. I knew what had to be done. I had chased away the vampire family I thought I had. Legs had given up on helping me, and Louis was dead. I remembered that day. I woke up in a tomb just as Louis had said I would. I ran out to tell Louis the good news that I was officially turned. I ran towards the center of town, and my jaw dropped as I saw a giant pyre set up in the middle of the town. Louis was on it. I pulled out my axe. The townsfolk surrounded me by telling something about how they had found evidence of the occult on his person. I started to swing at a tree. All I heard was excuse after excuse. I felt claws shoot out of my hands as I knew just what I had to do. Swing. I heard their screams as I felled them all. Swing. I killed them all without mercy. Swing. The tree fell as the wind picked up more. I took the wood and carved a small, sharp stake. I swore to kill everything that threatened Louis's legacy. Now the thing that ruined his good name was me. That day, 200 years ago, the blood of over 2,000 townsfolk stained my hands red. Now the only blood staining my hands was my own. As I dug the stake deeper into my heart, as I started to feel the release of death. For the first time in a while, the air felt still, the wind completely non-existent. The world faded from my vision as I felt myself fall to the ground.